So welcome to the Vatican, and of course we're not in Italy any longer. The Vatican is its own independent state, the smallest country in the world in fact, at only 110 acres in size. Now the Vatican wasn't always its own independent state. It wasn't made that way until 1929. This is when Pope Pius XI signed what was known as the Lateran Treaty with Mussolini. Neither were these museums always open to the public. Again, they weren't made open to the public until 1932. Interestingly, at the suggestion of Mussolini of all people. So even though he wasn't an all-round good guy, we actually have him to thank for being able to appreciate all this beautiful art that we see here today. Now the citizen body of the Vatican stands anywhere between 900 and 1,000 people at any one time. I think it's kind of sitting around 900 at the moment. 700 of which are men, and of course only 200 of which are women. Naturally enough, the 200 women are nuns, and of course the 700 men are made up. We've got the Pope, who's the head of state, and he's the only absolute monarch left in the world. And by that I mean literally what the Pope says goes, you know. There's about 100 Swiss guards at any one time. These are the military of the Vatican and of course the private bodyguard to the Pope. Cardinals from all over the world are automatically considered to be citizens here in the Vatican, even if they're not actually in residence in Italy. And the rest of the citizen body is generally made up of men of Italian origin. These are the administrators, the civil servants of the state. You actually have to be a man of Italian origin to occupy one of these posts, even if the Pope doesn't have to be. Now most of the citizens of the Vatican don't choose to live within the walls themselves. This is because over half of the 110 acres that we see here are dedicated to these beautiful manicured gardens. Now they've been preserved in style and form since the 16th century, but as you can imagine there ain't exactly a whole lot of residential accommodation here, so most of the citizens choose to live within the city of Rome. Now, as its own independent state, the Vatican has a number of trappings of state. Not all of them, but some of them. So, for example, the Vatican has its own postal service. They have their own bank. They use their own currency. They have their own grocery store, their own radio station, their own train station, and indeed their own newspaper.